Hello again. This is day 4 of an intended 7-day fast, and as you can see, I'm not completely out of it or exhausted. Although today I haven't really felt the inclination to consume caffeine, so I've eliminated that to detox, withdraw, and when you break the fast, if it's only 7 days, you're still going to enjoy the coffee with your first meal when you break the fast. And on such a short fast, I consider 7 days short. I don't think you have to be that strict with respect to what you eat when you break the fast. I had invoked the name of Lauren Luckman earlier, and he's a strict fruitarian, of course, and he recommends a series of small meals of tropical fruit, maybe 4 or 5 small servings that you break. What is mostly, though, in his former fasting center in Costa Rica, Tanglewood, which surprisingly is no more, although that's another story. So he recommended that protocol to slowly wake up your digestive system and, of course, to ease the elimination, not just of the food that you hadn't eliminated, that you had eaten before the fast and hadn't eliminated, but also on the hypothesis that a lot of what you're doing while you're fasting, a long fast like 21 days, which I have done. I've done 7, I've done 10 as well, but let's just say 7, 14, and 21 are my experiences in this body as a live human being. Not yet 40, but we'll make the time for that, and not so much the extra weight. That's another digression. If you put on the extra weight before the fast, that might help you easily get through the number. It might help you keep the contract with yourself, the commitment, the decision, which is very important. See, although we've spoken of fasting as mostly a not doing and learning to be, it is a critical kind of legal self-being with yourself. You become a state of one, and you really have to make good on your word and keep that contract with your self. Otherwise, for the rest of your life, your word means nothing to you. So it's very critical. And as some people say in the realm of self-help, it's that belief in your word that is also it's a superpower when it comes to enriching yourself, engaging, especially if you're engaging in business, sales, and so on. Not that we're doing that today at all. No. Yeah. So I had a lot of maybe 4 or 5 unfinished or unresolved threads in the previous video, which we'll gradually come back to. So I had eliminated caffeine. I had said that you're going to enjoy. In general, you're going to be more sensitive to the caffeine after withdrawal, so you enjoy it more. Same thing with food in general. A lot of people say who are lukewarm interested in fasting, but then they say, I describe it a little bit. You don't want to be too pushy with something so drastic to the average person, but then the other person will say, "Oh, I don't think I can do it. But I love food, but I love food." Well, if you really loved food, wouldn't you want to taste it with a tongue on which the taste buds have just been renewed? Wouldn't you want the impact of the food, the pleasure to be twice as much as what it was when you go from the fast to the feast? If you just have a feast every day, it's boring. It's like in Florida, it's warm every day, so it's like summer. It gets boring after a while. You don't really appreciate it because there's no change of the seasons. So yeah, I will caution that everybody, and maybe you too, everybody has his own excuse, and it's somewhat of a neurotic resistance to something that's obviously helpful. And the weird thing is, going back to theological metaphors, it's like some people, they worship some they're bound, they're tied to they can't break some contract with a deity that's not really watching out for their best interests. And other people, they see themselves, they understand themselves as atheists, even though breaking a tie with a god at a one-time event in your life, well, that's just one event, that's just one unbinding. That doesn't really define who you are. And in continuation, after that, it's a mental experience. But anyway, they're going to associate the fasting with, oh, well, that's what religious people do. That's what monks do. But I'm an atheist, and they were doing it for this reason or that reason. And of course, all the people that have passed down all the great books of the past 2,000 years, copied them, and also did most of the writing about their own time, or more importantly about philosophy, or delved into the sciences, regularly practiced fasting. And you could say that anyone who doesn't consume a modern diet with its high sugars or carbs might as well have been fasting relative to contemporary people with their seeming lack of time and mental fog. That lack of time and lack of focus, whatever the resource is, time, the focus, or I don't know, but your insulin, your management of your insulin, your cells are too resistant to it, so your diseased circadian rhythm is too much determining your life and making it seem as though you don't have time, because the difference between clocks and digestion isn't actually fundamental. So just by starting a fast, you suddenly give yourself an immensity of time, a relatively seeming infinity. It's amazing how long a weekend could just be and how slowly things move when you're not digesting, when you're effectively detoxing. And that could be through the breath. You're breathing out toxins, your mouth gets rather gross. And this morning I woke up with a white tongue. I've since brushed it, so you don't see that. And that's also what makes the taste of water putrid when your tongue is all ugh, and you're drinking water because you're very thirsty at night. We'll go back to some of the major problems that you encounter while you're fasting as well. And in brief, the main problem not hunger at all. The ketosis, it's the digestion of your own fats. So you enter into that. It could be as short as 20 hours. Sometimes it's about 2 days, so 48 hours, if we want to think in terms of hours. Those who are really hardcore about this and want to get the most out of it, think in terms of days, not hours, which is okay if you're doing intermittent fasting, but again, you're not going to get that much benefit from intermittent fasting. It's going to be needlessly hard for you unless you attune yourself to fasting by doing a 7-day fast, or 14, or better yet, even 21. And then when you want to add intermittent fasting, which I suppose you should do indefinitely after that, not eating breakfast in the morning, that is. And so your body's more attuned, so you're going to give it the chance to do the purification or the detoxing in en masse, in volume, for a multi-day period. So you get rid of a lot of the preliminary crap that would afflict you in an abrupt way while you're doing intermittent fasting. Make you think, oh, I'm so hungry. Well, you're just experiencing symptoms of detoxification that that you can suppress by forcing the body to reallocate energy to the digestive system again. And never doing this kind of detox or cleanse. And you let the body do it. You don't consume honey with juices or nothing but that for 14 days, and then I defecate, and whatever. That's softcore. It's not the real thing. Take a pause. And again, as usual, I've lost track. I have a card here, but I've lost track the bunch of things that I've been saying. But so I'll mention, I mentioned the white tongue as a phenomenon maybe on day 4. I guess it is day 4, so it's on schedule as usual with me. Other thing that you're going to notice is that your piss has a peculiar odor due to ketosis, of course. So that's the sure sign that you know you're in ketosis, when your piss has that peculiar odor. Some people say, oh, I have to measure this or get a stick or whatever. You can just smell it. You don't necessarily need to measure it. So I'm not that certain, at least at my level of health, that, oh, I want to measure my vital signs like my pulse, my temperature or whatever. I know I have a fever, but it's not a bad fever. Oh, you have a fever, take a pill. No. The fever is it's an immune response. It means that the immune system is being allocated all the energy that normally goes to digestion. So, in the spirit of continuing to fight misconceptions, which, of course, about everyone who doesn't fast seems to know everything about fasting. They know whether it's good for them or whether it's not, So, as we've seen during the COVID era, a lot of people, at least initially and probably still in continuation, are pretty much pawns of medical doctors. Oh, well, my doctor says, well, that's great. Your doctor, I'm sure, has your best interest in mind, so he's prescribing you, unnecessary medications and so on. And that's not true in all systems. I believe that in evil Russia and evil China, citizens do have some incentive to fast, and whatever system of insurance or health they have there, you can get a break if you do an annual fast. For whatever reason, it's a natural conflict of interest, because how does medicine in an evil capitalist system make its money? It has to be not by keeping a population healthy, but just somewhat sick, but dependent on drugs in the course of a lifetime, and of course, as a result of that, chronic disease. I don't know. Maybe heart disease, cancer, and whatever. These eventually develop, but they're not things that just randomly strike you. Oh, the unlucky he got hit by the unlucky lightning bolt. He's cancer. Well, no, it's downstream of a lifetime of not fasting. These are people that are eating unhealthy food every day, but he's not fat. Well, he's not optimally healthy either. Health isn't just yes or no. It's not a light switch, off on. There are certain levels of health of which this body is capable, and maybe there are even higher levels than any of us have ever experienced. So, good luck as you seek that. So again, in the spirit of discussing a few misconceptions, I would ask, what do you expect are the main problems, plural, while you're fasting? And as I had said, hunger isn't really the principal problem. Right now, I don't feel hunger. Fantasies of food are sometimes welcome, but it's more visual. It's not so much that you feel hunger in the sense that you smell the food, your digestion has started. It's really a bit different. And I would also invite you to distinguish between superficial hunger and also fundamental hunger, where when you're really hungry, versus you just have some symptom of detoxification. You could suppress that if you just had a pleasant meal, or even a coffee. I was writing down yesterday sweet potatoes, beef, spinach, just to remind myself of, as if I need reminding, of a few things that I'd like to have when I resume, when I break, not necessarily when I break the fast, but afterwards, once my digestion is more normal. So these things are natural to do. I mean, if you must, watch a video on cooking or whatever. But learn. Again, the key, and this is a needlessly long video probably, but the key is the health benefits. Don't do the fasting for the double pleasure of the meal. Learn to love fasting as its own reward for the time you win, for the clarity, focus, and so on. And I promise I won't lose the thread ever again. So the if you were to rate the problems, boredom, thirst, and hunger, I would say, I used to say the boredom is actually the worst problem you encounter, because you really can't do anything, because most of your energy, again, is allocated to the immune system. So you're detoxing. Your kidneys are doing whatever they're doing. You're breathing out whatever it is. And I would say, on the one hand, I don't care too much about the science of it or whatever. In that dumb medical authoritarian, so you gotta have the statistics, measurements, or the facts, whatever. I'm doing this in my own body. It'd be nice to have the two in parallel, but I don't want to associate with people that are researching this, not actually fasting themselves in their own bodies. So the boredom could be an issue if you have other expectations, like, oh, you're just going to read, or you're going to take long walks. I don't really feel that bored now. I mean, it's been 8 years. I've been doing this periodically. So I'd say thirst. The thirst is the worst problem. I used to say it's problem number 2, but it's way worse than hunger, because you feel very thirsty. Lauren Lockman says that you're actually rehydrating dry matter on the walls of mostly the small intestine. It's basically toxic, fermented, undigested food from the past few years that you've never really gotten rid of. Whatever it is, you do feel pretty damn thirsty, and you can't gulp the water. As I said, you will flush the electrolytes. And when you're lying down at night, it is a pretty nasty feeling. Sometimes you don't know if you're going to get through it, but if you've done it, you know that you can, but you must sip the water. And sometimes you have to force yourself to sip it, even if due to the taste in your mouth, and also some of the might be some retention in your belly. If you have snot or mucus falling down your throat, it's kind of gross, but so you might not feel that pleasant adding to a temporary bloat for that reason. And again, I don't know the science or the whatever. It's just anecdotal. But what was I going to say? Oh, and another key, just if you're going to do this, you can't drink tap water. Your body will, if you fast often enough, you're going to recognize instinctually the difference in taste between tap water and spring water. And I like Poland Spring water, so hopefully this will be the screen cap for the video, so it'll get more views, although everyone's going to bounce after a few seconds. But it tastes great, and yeah, it's just so much better than tap water. You need to focus on the quality of your water. You need to buy a lot of these gallons in advance if you want to do this. Some people say, well, what about Brita? I don't know if I'm fine with Brita. Well, I think Brita's crap, and I don't like the taste of water from Brita. I know that some regions of the world have better water than in the United States, parts of the United States, but I haven't really experienced that too much. I prefer to have bottled water. And sometimes I've also bought glass, but I don't think the plastic is that bad. At least I don't notice the taste. So the glass water is perhaps overrated. So that's just my opinion on that. And I was going to also mention, so you could make coffee, if you wanted, like day 1, maybe day 2. it does make things easier because I was talking about, well, the boredom, the thirst. I forgot to mention the headaches that you get from withdrawal from caffeine, but I'm not sure if it's just withdrawal from caffeine. I think it's related to the fever, but you probably will get a very excruciatingly bad headache. And sometimes, if you're very toxic, it'll feel like when you're lying down, like horses are running over your head and pounding you with their hooves. So it's somewhat of a challenge to get through, but it's like if you have tinnitus and you're aware of your common misinterpretations of, oh, there's no sound happening, so I know. So if I feel it, it's not really that painful. It's just a sensation. But I was mentioning coffee, and some people say, "Oh, I love food. I love coffee." Well, you appreciate the feast more with the fast. Anyway, you get more pleasure, more health benefit, and so on. But I was talking about the coffee. So going back to this kind of machine, just to offer an analogy of this one and this one. So I'm no stranger to the espresso game and the coffee game, very basic Keurig, or people say Keurig. So what if you never descaled these machines? You love coffee every day. Maybe you need it every hour, so you can't descale. So I love it. I need to have it. Well, that's fine. You'll probably get caffeination, but I think the flavor would degrade over time. And if you did descale it, I say take an hour or whatever, metaphorically speaking, a day off from food. So what if you never descaled these machines? And what if you never gave your body a chance to not just clean out your digestive system, but there was autophagy on the scientific side of fasting. I believe you could read a scientific paper if you were curious about this. Basically, the elimination of senescent, maybe dead or near death, or very unhealthy, sickly cells that are just killed off when the body increases its white blood cell count, and they just go into vigilante mode, just cleaning house. And I would imagine you get all the benefits of that throughout your body, your organ, maybe even your brain, because the brain's so important to thinking all the time. So, and that autophagy may contribute to this sense of rebirth, renewal, starting a new life, and so on. And deeper into the fast, in parallel with the process of autophagy, the human growth hormone concentration will also increase as well, which may be muscle preserving. So you might lose a little bit of muscle on day one, maybe day two, but that's mostly about it as you enter into ketosis. So yeah, you give your body an opportunity to descale itself. You don't actually consume some weird juice or some potion with honey or a cleanser and whatever, which I suspect long term is pretty bad for your bowels or your digestive system, because if you give the body a crutch for anything, especially to go to the bathroom, then what's going to happen? You're going to have trouble going to the bathroom naturally in the future. So it's a very questionable remedy. The same would apply if you do, say, a salt flush or whatever. You'll see that as another health fad. And what else to say about fasting? It's about nothingness. It's about not doing, for the most part, as I've said, just learning to be. At the same time, though, it is a commitment. If you are a state of one, if you're the sovereign and the subject, then it's very empowering. It's difficult, but it's also very empowering to keep that contract with yourself when there's no third party to enforce it. There's no monastery in this case, just me here in my apartment. I don't smell the neighbors cooking, luckily, but if I were to walk downstairs to buy some more water at the market, I would smell it. And then I'd have to walk through a supermarket. Oh my God, I haven't eaten for 4 days. You get used to it. It's really nothing because the abundance of food, it's right there whenever you want it, assuming national food security and so on. So, yeah, so I would encourage you within this domain of fasting to really think big, don't think small. It's the same with wealth. And I do suspect, because I'm reading T. Harv Eker yet again, who has us say, my inner world dictates my outer world or something. So if you have some, in his view, if you have some bad spirituality, or you're a complainer or a victim, or you have, you deem rich people bad, for example. You say money is the root of all evil, then whether you say that explicitly or maybe at a more unconscious level due to your family, community, upbringing, or whatever, you're going to have a very hard time getting rich. You're going to have a very hard time accomplishing what you believe to be bad, even if you want the money. So you have to make that, and engage in those introspective exercises, and that may be more important than any reading or business case studies or whatever plans that you engage in. So this is all about, isn't just about health and isolation. It's also about overall wealth, quality of life, capacity to do things with a healthy body, with freedom of mind, with the reality or the illusion, egal, of infinite time, just the potential to do anything, and being more decisive, because you were decisive with this contract with yourself to do the 7 days or the 14 and whatever. So I want to emphasize that this carries over into all life performances, which, for better or for worse in this capitalist system, I don't mean that as a bad word, it determines your levels of success in the wealth game. So gains or good losses in the health game are going to enable big wins in the wealth game. Take it from me. Take care.